on this visit by media and by government officials whether I'm going to be focused on a specific region or a specific ideology. The answer is no. The answer is no, because this is too urgent a crisis and too important a problem. We are not going to be ignoring any part of the world. This is not going to be an office that deals with Europe. This is going to be an office, as I was charged to do, that deals with the world and with the Jewish condition. So we will not be minimizing or ignoring the problems in any region. Second of all, we are not going to be ignoring any part of the ideological spectrum. Jew hatred is Jew hatred, and we are going to combat it, and we are going to oppose it, regardless of the ideological clothing in which it dresses itself. Whether it is the traditional anti-Semitism of the supremacists and ultra-nationalists, or it is this vile new anti-Semitism of the anti-nationalists and the anti-Zionists, we are going to oppose it, we're going to call it out, we're going to fight it. And so that's principle number one. We're not going to be ignoring any region or any ideology. Principle number two is we are going to be empowering our allies. You know, we tend to focus on the problems. That's human nature, certainly Jewish nature. So we tend to focus on the problems, and there are a lot of them. We all know the bad news, a lot of bad news. But there's also a lot of good news. The moment I was announced by Secretary Pompeo, I was sitting on the runway in Dulles Airport, taxiing, ready to take off for Europe. We certainly hit the ground running. I represented the United States in two conferences, the OSCE and the EU, right after my announcement of my appointment. And I have to tell you something. There's a lot of good news too, and we can't forget that. We have allies, real allies. I'm not talking about Jewish leaders. I'm talking about non-Jewish leaders in Europe, and in some cases in the Muslim world, who are passionate about this issue, as passionate about this issue as any of us. They get it. They care about the Jewish people. They care about the Jewish future. And they understand something very fundamental, that anti-Semitism is not only about the Jews. This is not a parochial problem about protecting a certain community, although, my goodness, that would be moral reason enough to fight it with every effort we have. But it is not simply about that. Anti-Semitism is a human sickness, and anti-Semitism rots to the core every society that embraces it. And anti-Semitism produces human suffering and human misery on scales that defy description. And so anti-Semitism isn't only a Jewish problem, it is a human problem. And if we care about the human condition, we will fight to eradicate anti-Semitism wherever it rears its ugly head. And I'm happy to report that there are leaders who believe it and get it and understand it. And they speak in those terms. I saw in Bratislava and in Brussels European leaders who stood up and said, the future of Europe is at stake. We need to fight this evil because it will undermine our societies. Now, should there be more of them? Perhaps. But there are enough of them. And one of my jobs, principle number two, is to work with and to empower and to provide the full backing of the United States of America